Subscribe to my YouTube channel, press notification bell icon and like my video. War is a racket, wrote US Major General Smedley Butler in 1935. He explained a racket is best described, I believe, as something that is not what it seems to the majority of the people. Only a small inside group knows what it is about. It is about conducted for the benefit of the very few at the expense of the very many. Out of war, a few people make huge fortunes. This is the case similar to the Ukraine. As is always the case with propaganda, this version of events is manipulated to bring an emotional response to the benefit of special interest. One group of special interest profiting massively on the war is the US military industrial complex. Raytheon CEO Greg Hayes recently told a meeting of shareholders that everything that's being shipped into Ukraine today, of course, is coming out of stockpiles from our NATO allies, and that's all great news. Eventually, we will have to replenish it and we will see a benefit to the business. That's what Raytheon CEO said in a meeting of shareholders. He was not lying. Raytheon, along with Lockheed Martin and countless other weapons manufacturers, are enjoying a windfall they have not seen in years. And the US has committed more than $3 billion in military aid to Ukraine. They call it aid, but it is actually corporate welfare. Washington sending billions to arms manufacturers for weapons sent overseas. And by many accounts, these shipments of weapons like the Javelin anti-tank missile, which is jointly manufactured by Raytheon and Lockheed Martin, are getting blown up as soon as they arrive in Ukraine. And this doesn't bother Raytheon at all. The more weapons blown up by Russia and Ukraine, the more new orders come from the Pentagon. And by many accounts, these shipments of weapons like the Javelin anti-tank missile are getting blown up as soon as they arrive in Ukraine. And former Warsaw Pact countries, now members of NATO, are in on the scam as well. They have discovered how to dispose of their 30-year-old Soviet-made weapons and receive modern replacements from the US and other Western NATO countries. And while many who sympathize with Ukraine are cheering this multi-billion-dollar weapons package will make little difference, a former US Marine intelligence officer, Scott Ritter, said on the Ron Paul Liberty Report last week that I'm quoting him, I can say with absolute certainty that even if this aid makes to the battlefield, it will have zero impact on the battle, and Joe Biden knows it, unquote. So what we do see is that Russians are capturing modern US and NATO weapons by the ton and even using them to kill more Ukrainians. What irony. Also, what kinds of opportunities will be provided to terrorists with thousands of tons of deadly high-tech weapons floating around Europe? And Washington has admitted that it has no way of tracking the weapons it is sending to Ukraine and no way to keep them out of the hands of the bad guys. War is a racket, to be sure. The US has been meddling in Ukraine since the end of the Cold War, going so far as overthrowing the government in 2014 and planting the seeds of the war we are witnessing today. The only way out of a hole is stop digging. Don't expect that anytime soon war is too profitable.